Welcome back, disc golf fans, to the Discraft Ledgestone Open presented by Merrill. We are again out here at Northwood Park for the Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series Plus event. Thank you guys for joining us out here. I'm Nathan Queen, again joined by Andrew Fish.
And in this round 3 front 9 coverage, we're going to see even a different course than we saw yesterday at Northwood Black. A lot of rain overnight and in the morning makes this course score about 5 strokes harder than in round 2.
Yeah, lots of sketchy walking today with lots of mud. Andrew Marwede, Chris Dickerson, Casey White, and Ricky Wysocki all going to try to tackle this very difficult Northwood Black course.
Yeah, and they're clustered up pretty good in that top 10. Cole Redallen, Calvin Heimberg, Ezra Robinson out to a little bit of a lead, but still, we're only halfway home here. Andrew Marwede, sponsored by DGA, going to be putting with the Splatter Stone Steady BL. See his mids are squalls and quakes. And as a balanced forehand and backhand player, I expect to see some Raptors, Hellfires, and Hurricanes.
And Chris Dickerson also pretty balanced with the forehand and backhand. Going to be putting with the CT Challenger OS. Upshotting with him as well. Got some buzzes in the bag. Really likes to lean on that bonsai for a fairway driver. And you're going to see some Predators as well.
Casey White, sponsored by Discmania, putting with the D-Line P2. Throws his upshots with Tactics and P3Xs. And then variety of mid-ranges. And I expect to see FD3s for his forehands in particular.
And Ricky Wysocki putting with a zero burst dagger. Going to see some Trust and Justices on the upshot. Imagine we'll see some Evader out here for the fairway driver in the woods, and probably some Enforcers and Felons as well.
We're going to start off on hole 1, 455 feet, a downhill par 3. Teeing off kind of from a cliff. There is out of bounds down the entire left side. Idea here is take a mid-range or a fairway driver that can hold straight or perhaps drift a little bit to the right.
First off of the box, from Alpena, Michigan, Andrew Marwede.
We haven't seen Marwede on Gatekeeper coverage super recently, but he is coming off 2 back-to-back A-tier wins in Michigan. So getting hot at the right time of the season as the big-time events are starting to pick up.
Yeah, and still feeling it after those A-tier wins up here on Chase Card at this Elite Series event. Gets up there nicely. Can I have a
Next
maybe
up,
long bid for 2?
From Gray, Tennessee, Chris Dickerson.
Chris also seeming to get back to form a little bit here with the last couple events.
Yeah, for sure. 8th place at European Open. It's been kind of a quiet season for Chris. Usually doesn't tour that much out of the Southeast, but always a staple in these Midwest events. This is left and not drifting quite enough. Does get the favorable kick to the right side. Going to be about 200, 250 for his approach.
From Shirley, Massachusetts, Casey White.
Casey having a good event so far. He's been out on tour this year and really putting together a good couple rounds.
Yeah, this is what Casey needed to get his season kind of back on track. 17th at Portland Open, his best showing thus far. And I like this swing, starting to tip over just in front of the trees on the left. And full distance.
Yes, sir.
Holy cow, Nathan, deep in the basket.
Yeah, very nicely done inside circle 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at that again. I like how he uses the entire fairway here. Really trust his disc out to that left side and lets it draw back.
Yeah, going fairway driver, giving it the height, and knowing that it will have the turn throughout the entire flight.
From Scottsdale, Arizona, the 3-time defending Ledgestone champion, 2-time world champion, Ricky Wysocki.
And Ricky got here. He was on the lead card in round 2 and made 3 circle 2 putts. That's kind of keeping him in the ball game, as we all know.
Yeah, he also going to be using that left side. You see the leaves moving on this shot as he also puts himself inside circle 1. Going to be pin height But there is a bit more wind today. It's not something we'll say too often, but on a few of these holes out here, you might see some interesting mid-flight changes.
Yeah, and kind of gusty and swirly. Dickerson still going to be on this slope throwing 3. And this one in good shape. Should be a pretty a relatively routine bogey putt.
Andrew Marwede, known to be a very good putter, gives that one a pretty good bid from deep circle too. Should have an easy par. Ricky Wysocki trying to start off with a birdie. Does it well. One of just 14 birdies on the day.
And Casey White going to try to start off hot as well. He got here with 6 straight birdies and then 3 more later in round 2. So get hot, stay hot, kind of the order of business for Casey.
Yeah. That's the way to get hot. Start off with a birdie on hole 1.
Kind of a funny little walk up to the basket. I don't know what he's doing. And Dickerson, always deliberate with his routine. And fires it home.
Yeah, not quite how you want to start your round off with a really early second hit. Had an opportunity to scramble, but Dickerson always able to settle himself. And should be able to get himself back in pretty quickly. That moves us into hole 2, our first par 4, 580-foot par 4. Kind of a dog leg right here at the top of the hill. Once you crest the hill and get past these trees, it looks like you want to fade right, but if you fade right, a lot of the time you end up early and kind of have to flex something down this fairway. So as straight as you can off the tee for about 390 feet. If you go any farther than that, you probably hit that wood line on.
Casey going to go backhand, and if this will get some left finish on it, that's in decent shape. Going to be Forst and Heiser. Rick with the more aggressive play, looking to draw over a forehand, and that's going to leak into the right side. So mandatory pitch up.
Yeah, probably a favorable kick down there rather than fading into the woods. Gets thick out here very quickly.
And this much better by Andrew Marwede. He's actually going to be pushing into the gap.
Yeah, got that skip slightly on the right, but pushed into that gap like he said. We'll see what type of angle he has.
And Dickerson, I think that's a mid-range. Was tracking to the left side. Instead, he's in a kind of an in-between zone. Might be able to make good progress around the corner, but I don't know if he can get all the way to the bucket.
And as you called it, mandatory layup there from Ricky. One of the most aggressive players, and even him not able to come up with something aggressive there. Dickerson in that in-between zone tries to get aggressive. Probably a good little leaf hit to keep him from cut rolling.
And Casey White to the fairway driver. This is using the right side of the fairway, now flexing back.
Oh, good.
And down to about 22, 25 feet.
Fantastic standstill flex shot there.
Wysocki's third on a great line.
Yeah, well executed for par. Having a pitch out, executes the next shot nicely.
I think if you're Marwede...
And this is what I was talking about. Anytime you skip, you end up on that right side. He does have to chop inside of one of those trees up there, but able to execute it well.
Yep. And I like throwing it low, kind of using the ground to take the speed off of it. There's a little hill about 25, 28 feet in front of the basket. If you make your disc just disappear, then you're probably parked.
Get hot, stay hot.
Yeah, there it is. That's the script.
Casey White 2 for 2 to start his round. Everybody else looking to clean up a par here. Or excuse me, Andrew Marwede should be looking to clean up a birdie.
The perspective here. Andrew's a big guy, but the basket looks tiny with him in the foreground putting downhill.
Yeah, this seems like a little small slope here, but yeah, he still looks tall.
All right, couple birdies, couple pars. That's going to move us on to hole 3, which had some interesting activity. 604 feet, par 4, and I'm told that during competition, a large tree right at the corner, the V on the right, came down. So the landing zone kind of occupied by a bunch of debris. Dogleg to the right once you get to the bottom of the hill, and then the basket down another small hill. No out of bounds to speak of. Everything here is just pure woods difficulty.
Another good par 4 out here, and Casey has seemed to hit this drive well. There you see that tree we were talking about. He carries it nicely, going to be in a good position.
And good height by Andy Marwede. A little more inside than Casey, but still in a perfectly acceptable position.
Yeah, gets past those last 2 trees on the right. This is a really well positioned par 4. As you see, forehand going to be optimal play off the tee, but backhand is going to be good for your second shot.
And for the second tee shot in a row, Ricky kind of throwing a balloon forehand. This one taps down to the left. Dickerson using more of the fairway than needed, and going to have to find some way to scramble over that debris.
Yeah, some kicks out here just kind of add some insult to injury. You can throw a shot just barely off, and all of a sudden it just kicks to a terrible spot. Or you can throw a shot that doesn't seem off, and it can just kick to a terrible spot.
Dickerson, fairway driver, and pretty well executed.
Yeah.
Inside circle 2, may be able to take a poke at that if he wants to be aggressive. And Casey's going to shank that straight into the creek. That is jungle down there.
Yeah, surprised to see him go with a forehand there. Really, well, I mean, Marwede is here too. It brings a lot more angles into play.
And a near dunk for eagle by Andy Marwede. Instead, is going to settle at about 12 feet.
Yeah.
I think their idea is to fade away from the creek. There's downslope on the left side. But I agree. You're having to manipulate your fade and still try to park the basket. That's tough.
Yeah, but Marwede does it well, and should have back-to-back birdies here. Casey having to do a bit of scrambling, and he's able to connect on that line nicely. Inside the bullseye for his par.
And Chris does indeed run it. But still in pretty good shape for his 4. And Wysocki low from edge of circle 1.
Those down, so that's pretty steep down where he was at right there. They can be a little tough, you know. You have to keep your nose down to keep your putt from sailing beyond the basket, and can be a little tough to get the height right there.
Not to mention the footing. On a day like today, uncertain whether your feet are really going to grab you. Chris does convert for his par save. And easy pickings for back-to-back Andy Marwede.
Yeah, you can't draw hole 3 up much better than that. right, on to hole 4, our third of 4 par 4s in a row here, 637 feet. The semblance of a straight shot, but if you throw righty backhand, you really need it to stand up and drift to the right for a little bit until it fades to try to get around this corner. Forehand plays as well. It plays better into the slope of the hill where the landing zone is at. Really got to get 380 plus to get past this corner and have a clean second shot.
I'll be surprised if we don't see at least 3 forehands off the tee. Marwede draws it up perfectly.
Yeah, that's where you'd like to be at.
And if this can hang on a little while longer and check down the hill.
Very nice check down. Gonna get an even better roll.
Possibly to out of position, however.
Yeah.
That's going to make his angle a little more severe to beat the corner on the near side of the creek. Dickerson trying to use stability, but that's going to hover on the left side. That's probably mandatory layup zone as well.
Yeah, seems similar to a shot on 1, I believe, where he just kind of drug it over a bit too far. And Ricky also getting that roll, but he's moving forward, and that's going to be a great spot. Still going to have a bit of turnover, but should be fairly open.
Yeah, I think you identified 380 as your mark to hit, but even that is forcing you to throw a multi-angle shot. As we see Marwede throwing the force over forehand, and that's not going to fight back for him.
Yeah, the way there's this little ditch here in between, and it kind of makes it feel like you need more turnover than you actually need. As you can see, the cameraman isn't very far from Ricky. So you really got to make sure if you put a lot of turn on it, then you swing it out wide so it has time.
Well done by Rick. Going to be inside the circle. Chris going to go over top of that shul, but falls back down into the creek. He'll be putting up from a pretty far distance.
Yeah, pretty awkward stance there from Casey. Has it on a nice line, just didn't get the height right. Should be in for par.
And that climbed more than I anticipated for Andrew Marwede. He was actually on a level plane with the basket and tried to float it in. Chris's stepper and converting for the par.
What a fantastic par save. Never seemed like he was in position to card that par, but able to make a nice putt to get there. And he scrambled his way so far to 1 over, just trying to hold this round together.
And that's definitely what Northwood requires of you sometimes. No hole can be taken for granted.
Nice bounce back there from Ricky. Gets himself back under par after the bogey on 3.
And a couple cleanups for those two guys. Going to move us on to hole 5. The shortest par 4 on the course, 451 feet. Again, a severe angle change at the landing zone. Carry over the 2 logs on the right side and stop in about a 15 by 15 foot square. Then uphill with either a forehand or turnover shot to a basket that's kind of nestled in between 5 mature trees. Nathan is an East Coast Woods golfer. I really like this style of hole, making you have to slow down among all of these other fairway and distance shots.
Yeah, you really have to dial in that distance. As you see, Ricky did not quite do that. He's a little amped up from these longer shots, and he's pushed past that 260 to 275 zone.
May still be able to manufacture a birdie as this is pulled right by Marwede.
both days this has played as the easiest hole on the course. So as close to a must-get birdie out here as Northwood as you're going to see. And Casey comes up a bit short there as well. Difficult to get a birdie from there, but possible to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him try to cut the corner and at least scrape a look at birdie.
And that's what you're wanting to see, is what we saw from Chris Dickerson. Able to get in the exact right spot. He'll be throwing a backhand turnover from there, possibly a forehand. Turnover lands a little better, though.
Casey cut down early with the thumber, but is looking straight at the basket. Jump putt for his potential 4. You see how extreme that angle is for Rick. Does get up into circle 2.
Yeah, well within his range to get a birdie. And Marwede in a bit of trouble here. Needs this up and down shot. Can't bogey this hole. And looks like he's executed it well enough. With his putting, that should card his par.
Looked like he went fairway driver to ensure that he was going to get the glide, but then hard to stop once you get to the basket. Dickerson.
A little bit high. You want to get the height to make sure you get some carry on that disc, but too much height there. Ends up with the kickoff to the right.
And again low from Wysocki on the circle 2 bid.
And back-to-back circle 2s for Chris Dickerson. One to save par, and then for his first birdie of the round, getting him on the board. Scrambling his way there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nathan, he's even right now. The rest of the card, a couple under. Even that kind of feels slow because everyone's wanting to get every hole.
Yeah, you know, on a day like today, you have to capitalize. And it feels like any hole you don't birdie, you haven't capitalized. Hole that you have to capitalize on, hole 6, 947 foot, par 5, first par 5 of the round. First shot, fairway drivers off of the tee, backhand flex shot. Gonna be the ideal play, so you can throw a little putter shot. It's very difficult to get all the way around that corner. You'll see most shots push kind of long down to the bottom of that hill into the wood line. And that'll leave you 280 or so into the pin for your third shot. Truly a 3-shot hole here.
And your description is if you've done it correctly. There's lots of ways to mess it up and do it entirely wrong. Dickerson plays it perfectly. Ricky not quite hanging on. He's going to fade out to the left, but made enough distance that he should be able to reach the corner in 2.
Threw a pretty slow disc there and didn't get any skip. Might have to throw a standstill a little shot, but like you said, not very far from the corner. Really got to push that left side with the forehand to avoid this skip. Gonna have to go with a backhand from over there. Won't be able to work a forehand most likely.
And to turn the entire way, Casey White's going to use the entire fairway and get aggressive.
Not quite as smoked as yesterday.
Yeah, great shot here. Traverses well down the fairway. It's kind of a strange play to see the aggressiveness, because unless, like, that's a fantastic shot, but unless he gets another 150 feet, it hasn't really done him much benefit.
Yeah, his potential now isn't that different than what Chris had done. And gonna run into the backside like we saw our entire card on round 2's coverage, but even that will give an opportunity to get up and down. Marwede with the force over, as you noted.
Able to do that force over nicely and checks up Just a little bit. Not going to be quite in that wood line. Our first shot on the edge there.
And Wysocki playing the putter turnover. A little too much turn and is going to boost off to the right. Probably needs to play this for par.
And Casey is going to go putter. Stays up high, but that should still be okay.
Yeah, another putter or mid-range backhand into the green. Wysocki has to fight through the corner. There's some scattered trees. So he lays down this forehand roller, hopes to miss those, does so successfully, and it's on the flat.
Yeah, good scramble shot to now be able to get a par. Should be 260 or so from where he's at there. And like Casey said, too high on that one.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Chris with the forehand, going to track off the fairway and then maybe near circle two's edge. Chance to catch fire with a third straight circle two putt. And Marwede, this is tracking right early, but a good reverse skip.
Yeah, executed that one nicely. Looks like he's going to have the only circle one birdie putt at least. Ricky Wysocki able to get up and down for his par now. Going to stay one under. Casey with the long look at birdie, deep circle two.
And off the top of the basket. Great bid, but he's going to take a fourth par in a row.
Dickerson to go back to back. Would have been 3 circle 2 putts in a row, but that one just a bit too awkward having to straddle off of that tree for him.
So it looks like we're going to have 3 pars and Marwede to get to 3 under through 6 holes.
Yeah, 18% of the field. That's 25 players carding the birdie today. 27% took a bogey, but 38% had bogey or above. So still played as a pretty difficult hole.
I just think the plastic is very premium. It's a high quality material. The way the disc feels in my hand.
I think it's the quality of plastic.
It's unlike any other plastic that you'll find in the industry.
The quality is better than any other company out there.
Again, just consistent plastic. It's something I can consistently trust on every single throw.
There's so many discs to choose from, and I guarantee if you tried every disc in the lineup, you're gonna wanna put multiple discs in your bag.
It's extremely high quality. You can only say so much, they have to eventually just try it themselves and see.
Open champion, hold my there.
Hole 7, relatively short par 3 at 325 feet. You can attack this with a forehand or a backhand. Something that kind of twists from right to left, back to right is the ideal shot. You can get a little sneaky through the right side. There is OB on the right side and playing into a headwind with some right to left cross today.
Yeah, pretty strong right to left whenever I was right here. As you can see, that disc, as soon as it got flat, just took off to the left. All because of that wind that you haven't really felt much to this point.
No, up against a property line and farmed land right next to it doesn't provide a whole lot of wind break. Dickerson bites through that right side to a circle 1 putt.
Yeah, that's the kind of accidental right side gap. I'm not sure anybody really wants to hit that, but if you turn your disc just a bit too much, it'll fly down there nicely. Ricky Wysocki turns his disc too much to the left side and somehow finds something. It looks like he's going to be circle 2.
Yeah, no trees on the hole until you absolutely need them, it would seem. Casey White looks like he was adjusting his footwork to the very left edge of the pad to correct for the wind drift. And are we going to get tagged down?
can actually hear that wind now coming off. There's a wide open field just to the right where this OB line is at, so nothing to block this wind. And it's showing in the stats on this hole today.
Rick, where are you at? I'm right here.
Only 13% of the field, 18 players out of 141 were able to get the birdie.
And high right chains for Wysocki, but unable to stick it. Casey White, another par. Good scramble.
5 pars in a row. Not exactly what you're looking for, but it's nice to keep it clean.
And Chris Dickerson continuing to battle. Gets himself under par for the first time in the round. And Rick, very annoyed, flips the mini up there.
I feel you, Rick. It's about how I feel walking up to this tee, very annoyed. 389-foot par 3. You've got to carry this OB right here that then turns into OB all the way down the right side as you try to travel through this 12-foot wide gap, hoping that your disc fades left and not right. Great par 3, though. I really do think it's a good shot.
Yeah, absolutely high level.
I'd love to see a mirror image of this hole and see how drastically the stats change.
And how much whining there would be from the right-handed players. Dickerson kicks one of the trees that defines the fairway and boosts left, does stay inbounds. Wysocki testing the right side. If this gets some stability late, it's great. But he's going to have to walk back a little ways on the fairway and take a drop.
Yeah, so the drop zone plays is optional on this hole, meaning if you hit one of these early trees up there, you're going to go to the drop zone. If you cross down here late, as Casey White.
OB, you see the string line 4 inches from his disc.
So he'll get to take it right there, it seems, just behind the basket.
And I gotta imagine this is kind of a par play, slamming over a forehand through the left side. And Dickerson from Nowheresville gonna have to lay up again. He's actually out again.
Yeah, having to go tomahawk 2 throws in a row. Not really ideal on this hole. He's still going to have to putt from circle's edge down that hill. Very sketchy putt.
Great touch on the soft forehand from Andy Marwede. Wysocki from mid C2. Just not making him fall.
Yeah, not that they've been easy, but we see Ricky make those, I think, pretty often. And Chris Dickerson, pretty on point on those circle 2 putts so far this round. That's the 3rd one that he's made, although it was for bogey here.
Turns out they all count the same. Casey White with the 3P.
6th par in a row now. Keeping it clean.
At some level, that still counts as get hot, stay hot.
Yeah, I mean, he got hot, and he hasn't cooled off yet. He hasn't gone backwards, you know.
Hole 9, we're going to close out our front 9 with a 732-foot par 4 uphill tee shot that after about 250 feet, you need to brake to the right and then hold that right turn. If you've done it correctly, it sets up the landing zone to another 300, 320 into the basket, which is guarded all around by some trees on the approach.
Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite par 4s on the course. Really requires a very well-placed tee shot. This is going to fade out a little bit to left, but sneaks through a little bit more. Still going to be too far left to really be able to attack the pin cleanly.
Yeah, might have to hack a forehand. Marwede saws off his shot.
And almost sawed off a branch there, it looked like. One was about to come down. But yeah, if you don't get to that exact right spot, then it's very dangerous to try to attack. And anything left or right gets very thick as soon as you get off of this open space that you see, making it difficult to even pitch out into a good spot.
And Wysocki, after some early forehand troubles, corrects nicely.
Oh, yeah.
All the way up in the backside of the landing zone. He'll be looking straight down the tunnel from, let's say, 350, 380. The spotter contingent was a little smaller today. I'm sure the nasty weather keeping some folks at home or unable to come out. I want to thank the spotter on hole 9 in particular for finding my errant shot. It was probably more off the fairway than it was away from the tee. Dickerson just having to pull out every trick shot these last couple holes.
Yeah, and it sounded like this is now his third shot. Trying to get out of the woods there. It looks like that one was well executed, but he'll be trying to get up and down for bogey from there. Still a pretty tough play, and Ricky Wysocki in a pretty good position is going to have to flex this a little bit.
Gets full distance and then an amazing roll.
You got a good break. Nice job. Jeez.
Chasing cameras out of the way, and inside circle 1 with a chance for bird. The rare birdie.
No, it's not enough.
Very close to getting the angles right on that one. Just didn't quite get it drawn over enough to the left. Oh, man.
And Chris Dickerson stymied at about circle 2's edge. As scattered as these trees are, I find it so hard to get all the way to the bucket from distance. Andy Marwede doesn't have that difficulty.
Yeah, very well executed scramble there to get up and down for his par.
And following that line almost exactly is Casey White. Control C, Control V.
Yeah, just 16 players able to get the birdie on this one today. Chris Dickerson going to be looking like he's settling for double bogey. Ricky Wysocki, one of those birdies.
Yeah,
back to under par.
And carding that bounce back stat. And Dickerson does capitalize on his double bogey putt. Got a couple pars incoming from White and Marwede.
Yeah, 7 pars in a row. Got to be feeling good. No red on the card.
Yeah, and you see those single-digit places next to their names. They're hanging on. As the players take a long walk from hole 9 to 10, we're also going to take a break. We're going to sign off on the front 9, and you can watch the back 9 on Gatekeeper Media's channel as well. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you get those updates.
Yeah, Cole Redallen at the moment hanging on to a tie for the lead with Calvin Heimberg, Ezra Robinson, and our card all making a push, like you said, for those single digits. Looking forward to a very difficult back 9 to see how this rainy, wet Northwood Black course is going to finish out for us. Thank you guys once again for joining us. For Andrew Fish, I'm Nathan Queen. We'll see you guys out there.